Chapter 3. The first night. Welcome to our home, Elvira said as she greeted them. One of her kids ran out towards Ruger and the other stayed in her arms, a young boy and a young girl. Bard saw their innocent smiles, and felt his own mouth curve upward. Thank you, Elvira, Bard said as he dismounted. Best have your beast stay out front, it'll prevent anyone with bad intentions from coming around, Elvira said, somewhat hushed as he came over. She then hugged him and touched his cheek with her own in a greeting. Bard recognized the custom as a greeting from the northern lands. She smiled, and the daughter looked up at Bard before bashfully ducking against her mother. I understand. Your kids look healthy, Bard commented in return. Elvira smiled and cuddled her child. Healthy, yes, but just wait. Once they come out of their shell, you'll wish they were a little more, well, less mischievous, she said, and Ruger laughed. How's me, little girl, being bashful? Huh, this is Bard, he's a good guy, Ruger said as he fawned over the girl. The boy was at his side and seemed eager to have his father hold him. You've got good timing, Elvira said as she began to come over to Kai. My last patient is gone, so there is plenty of space. She reached up and, with one hand, undid some of his lashings. Bard was impressed. Bring your things inside, it's cold out here. She helped carry things in, and once everything was in, and Kai was covered with blankets for the night, they closed the door, and Ruger and Elvira seemed to relax with a heavy sigh. The kids behaved themselves as Elvira dished them all some of her food. Well, it seems that we might not have need to worry after all, Elvira commented to Ruger as she sat down and began to feed the kids. Worry? Sen asked. Ruger sighed heavily and Bard paused in his eating. Is our being here a concern? Bard asked. In a way, Elvira said softly. 'Tis me brother, it be only a matter of time, but once he sees your wife, he may try to have his way with her. He is not your brother. He is not my brother, the fool, Elvira said. Her hand came a bit heavily down on the table, and caused the dishes to rattle. Be that your wish. He is related by blood, only to me, and I refuse to be a part of that family anymore, Elvira said. Ruger didn't say anything, and Bard quietly grabbed the mug and looked at its contents. Fresh water, likely melted snow. He knew better than to pry. He just hoped Sen wouldn't stir the pot and dredge up a heated conversation, particularly on their first night here. Sen, for her part, did seem wise enough to not engage in this for once. When the meal was done, Elvira set up a place for them in the side room, but Bard insisted they be separated for their time here. At the very least, he could stay by the fire and tend to it through the night. Elvira looked at him as if he was strange, but Bard wouldn't have it till they were officially married. He could give 100 reasons not to share a room with Sen, despite them traveling together. A private space like that would invite the wrong sort of activities, ones that could cause troubles for their journey. He wouldn't risk it, and he still could hear father's words of caution. There was his mission as well, his explanation about their journey still being long, and that he didn't think he could take care of little ones during that time caused Elvira to laugh heartily, and Sen blushed deeply. An interesting assessment. Just be sure to take care of each other's needs while you wait for that season, Elvira advised, and Bard sighed in relief as she retreated to that part of the house with her kids and husband. Sen walked over and grabbed his sleeve. Is it really that different in a room versus when we sleep outside? Sen asked. Bard looked at her, then folded his arms as he thought how to explain this to her. We may be pledged, but I dare not go further until we are fully wedded. I fear your father would come after me, and if watching the merchant catfolk taught me anything, women who are with child have a much harder time. We are already struggling with our travels, and I do not see adding to our troubles to be a good idea. Sen's eyes grew wide at him, and then she chuckled. You are getting better at speaking like my grandfather, a true elder of the wood. Very well, wise Bard. I will take that counsel to heart, though I do worry about sleeping on my own in such a strange abode. Would you be so kind to tell me of your travels, till my eyes cannot help but fall, and then carry me to my room afterwards? You can do as you suggested after that. Her words did little to sway Bard as she shifted sweetly. I admit, you are attractive, and because of that, you will head to your room first. I still have to check on Kai, Bard said as he grabbed her shoulder and guided her to her bedroom. Sen pouted but didn't resist as she walked inside. As he closed the door behind her, Bard felt a bit of relief. He closed his eyes and could see Sen sweetly looking at him. He walked away before he could have second thoughts. That hairstyle looked good on her, and she certainly wasn't helping. As he stepped outside, the cool air helped calm his head and heart. Kai raised his head and looked at Bard. His tail thumped once in greeting and Bard came over. "Hey bud, how is it out here?" Kai hummed a melancholic sound, and Bard rubbed his snout. "I wish you were just your puppy size. Then you could come in and join us, but with you out here, we won't get as many visitors." Kai took this well and his tail somewhat wagged at this. "Thanks Kai." Kai looked towards the house and tilted his head a few times. "No, I've sent her to bed. What am I going to do, Kai?" Bard sighed. Kai looked at him as he leaned against his middle. His head came around and Bard could easily pat it. "Thanks, she's just..." Bard let out a deep sigh. "I have to hand it to the elders. Traveling together and getting the approval of them, all within a year certainly strengthens or breaks your bond. It's a good system, if not stressful for us." Bard hummed in thought. His mind wandered to Sen, who he hoped was working on falling asleep. Kai snapped his mouth at his legs. Startled, Bard shifted away. "Kai," he growled out, then saw Kai's deep eyes and looked away. He knew that look. "Yes, I am sure about this. You know this is just to help us finish our mission." Kai got up, shifting Bard around. The tall wolf sat right in front of him, his head bearing down on Bard. "Kai, quit it," Bard snapped back. "Don't tell me that you are warming up to the idea. What would father say?" Kai harumphed and Bard sat down in the dirt as the large muzzle came close. Kai rose to stand and then padded around him as if to soothe him. Bard shifted to avoid Kai's gentle rub. Seeing his grumpy mood, Kai waited and kept nearby. Bard eventually softened. "Sorry bud, this is not what I thought would ever happen. It could help overall, but Kai looked up and gave a stern stare. "You're right, I'm overthinking it again. I'll keep that in mind. I'm an elder, after all. I know better," Bard said, and Kai hummed in agreement. Bard smiled, grateful his friend was here. He stayed there and chatted with Kai for a bit before heading inside and tending to the fire. In the light of the glow, he noticed that Sen's door was still closed. Kai had a point. A year was a good test, and a good way to bring two people closer. Granted, he doubted it took a whole year for most of the dryads to finish the task. Sen was far too eager, or just naive. The naivety certainly endeared her to him, something he thought he wouldn't find to be attractive of a quality. But he also was acutely aware of her struggles and her pleasant disposition. In spite of her childhood, he could sense that she was a gem in the rough, and the idea of spending his life with her was becoming more pleasant by the day. He stared into the glowing flicks of flame. Was it possible to have her be a part of his life, and still complete his mission? He shuddered at the thought. He hadn't even told her about it, and they were nearing Father's Wood. If they had made it to Pathfinder before the storms had set in, he would be heading to Father's place now. Perhaps this was like a blessing in disguise. He could be allowed to slow down enough to think things through, like what he really wanted, or his feelings towards Sen, and if she could become a part of his life and mission. He wondered if he was nearing the first goal or not. Only Father could tell him if he was. But the rest, he could figure himself. If he couldn't, then it would only show that he wasn't ready for the next part. Bard took a deep breath and heard the tiny creak of wood. He looked towards Sen's door and saw no movement. He then looked the other way and noticed a young kid, blearily looking at him. Bard stayed still as the child came around and grabbed a cup, and filled it with water from the barrel. With shaking hands, the child came over to him and reached out towards the fire. He seemed cold, and Bard pulled off his cloak he used as a blanket and draped it around the boy. That boy looked at him timidly but huddled closer in the cloak. He then drank from the cup bit by bit, and Bard found it interesting to watch the fire dance as a bit of sap burst from the heat. This pile was still a bit too wet, but perhaps it had been gathered at the end of the season. It would only make sense. The kid laid down and Bard tried not to disturb him as he moved the cup away, and listened to the steady breathing of the boy. So enraptured by the simplicity of the situation, he failed to notice Sen come out until she moved to sit next to him. "Sen," he hissed, trying to keep his voice down with the sleeping child nearby. "It's too cold," she muttered as she leaned against him. Bard stiffened before trying to relax and place his arm around her. "Would you rather?" He paused. He was about to suggest she sleep with Kai and warm up that way, but the way Elvira and Ruger had been about that brother made him pause and rethink the idea. He looked back and found a blanket on the couch he would be sleeping on. He pulled it closer and set it in front of him. Sen watched, curious. As the fire's warmth fed into the blanket, Bard pulled it around to have it evenly warmed. He then pulled it around Sen, and she melted as she hummed off to bed, Bard said with a chuckle. He pulled her into his arms as he rose and carried her back to her own bed. She was snuggled deeply in the blanket when he returned to the fire. After feeding it, he settled onto the couch and forced himself to get some rest.